The sky above Seoul turned red when the ships arrived. They were massive, each one larger than a city, blocking out the sun with their dark metal hulls. People stopped on the streets and stared upward. Some took pictures. Others screamed. Most just stood frozen, unable to believe what they were seeing. Captain Dae Kim was in a military briefing room when the alarms went off. He was a soldier, trained for combat, but nothing in his training had prepared him for this. The screens around the room showed the same image repeating on every news channel. Alien ships. Dozens of them, hovering over every major city on Earth. Then the message came. It was broadcast in every language, appearing on every device, every television, every phone. A creature appeared on the screens. It was tall and covered in dark armor that seemed to shift and move like liquid. Its face was angular and sharp, with eyes that glowed red. When it spoke, its voice was cold and filled with contempt. Am War Prime Kolrax of the Vralith Dominion. Your planet is now property of the Dominion. You have 72 hours to surrender. Resist, and we will erase you from existence. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. You are nothing. Your weapons are toys. Your armies are children playing at war.
Oh.
The screen went dark. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then the room erupted into chaos. Officers shouted orders. Phones rang. People ran in every direction. Commander Tae Park, a veteran with gray hair and sharp eyes, slammed his fist on the table. Get me the Defense Council now, and find out what weapons we have that can touch those ships. Day stood quietly in the corner. He knew the answer already. They had nothing. Earth's most advanced fighters and missiles were designed to fight other humans, not aliens with technology that could cross the stars. 20 hours later, the Vralith proved they were serious. Mars colony, home to 15,000 people, vanished in a flash of blue light. The alien ships fired a single beam, and the entire colony simply ceased to exist. The UN received a message after. It was Kolrax again, his red eyes gleaming. That was your warning? 51 hours remain. Panic spread across Earth. Some leaders wanted to surrender immediately. Others wanted to fight. The military scrambled to find any advantage, any weakness in the alien ships. They found nothing. The Vralith shields were impenetrable. Their weapons were beyond anything humans had created. Day watched it all with a heavy heart. He had fought in 3 wars. He had lost friends and seen terrible things. But he had always believed that skill and courage could win the day. Now, facing an enemy that had mastered war for 10,000 years, he felt small and helpless. Then Dr. Hannah Lee arrived at the military compound. She was young for a lead researcher, only 32, with tired eyes and hands that never stopped moving. She carried a metal briefcase handcuffed to her wrist. Colonel Wu Choi met her at the door, his face skeptical. You said you have something that can help. We are running out of time, Doctor. Hannah nodded. She opened the briefcase and pulled out a datapad. It is called the Nexus Protocol. We have been developing it for 5 years in secret. It was never meant to be used. It is too dangerous. Too unpredictable. But now, ... double quotes, what does it do? Tae Park asked. Hannah took a deep breath. It transforms a human body into a living weapons platform. Nanomachines rewrite every cell. The subject becomes able to manufacture weapons, shields, and combat systems from their own biological matter. Their mind becomes a battlefield computer, processing tactics faster than any AI. The room fell silent. Wu Choi shook his head. That is insane. You want to turn a person into a weapon? I want to give us a chance, Hannah said quietly. The Vralith think we are weak because we are small and our technology is limited. They are right. But what if we were not limited by technology? What if one soldier could become an entire army? Has this been tested? Tae demanded. On mice. On monkeys. Never on a human. The survival rate in the trials was ... low. Hannah looked down. But it worked. The subjects adapted. They evolved. They became something new. And if it fails? Wu asked. Then the volunteer dies. Painfully. Day stepped forward. Everyone turned to look at him. He was quiet by nature, preferring to listen rather than speak. But now he spoke clearly and firmly. "I will do it." "What?" Tay shook his head. "Captain Kim, you do not understand what you are volunteering for. This is not a suicide mission. This is worse. You will be changed. You might lose yourself entirely." "I understand," Day said. He thought of Mars colony, of the 15,000 people who had been alive one moment and gone the next, of the billions on Earth waiting to die if nothing changed. "I am a soldier. This is what soldiers do. We stand between our people and the enemy. If this gives Earth a chance, then I volunteer." Hannah looked at him with sad eyes. "Once we start, we cannot stop it. The process takes 12 hours. It will be the most painful thing you have ever experienced, and if you survive, you will not be the same person. Do you understand?" "I understand," Day repeated. There was more discussion, more arguments, but in the end, there were no other options. No other volunteers. No other hope. 36 hours remained until the Vraelith deadline. Earth had no choice. Day followed Hannah to the conversion chamber deep underground. It was a sterile white room with a metal chair in the center. Tubes and wires hung from the ceiling like vines. Medical equipment surrounded the chair on all sides. Hannah handed him a hospital gown. "Change into this? I will need to insert connection ports into your spine and skull. Then we begin." Day changed in silence. He lay down in the chair. Hannah worked with steady hands, placing sensors on his skin and inserting thin needles into his neck and the base of his skull. He felt cold metal touch his spine. She stepped back and looked at him one more time. "Last chance to change your mind." "Start it," Day said. Hannah pressed a button. The machines hummed to life. Day felt something cold enter his bloodstream. The last thing he saw before the pain began was Hannah watching him through the glass, her hand pressed against the window, her expression filled with guilt and hope. The pain was unlike anything Day had ever imagined. It started in his chest, a burning sensation that spread through his veins like liquid fire. He tried to scream, but his jaw locked shut. His muscles contracted so hard he thought his bones would snap through the glass. Dr. Hannah Lee watched the monitors with wide eyes. Colonel Wu Choi stood beside her, his face pale. The numbers on the screens were climbing rapidly. Body temperature, heart rate, neural activity, all pushing past safe limits. "His body is rejecting the nanomachines," Hannah said, her voice tight. "I need to adjust the integration rate." She moved to the control panel and typed quickly. Inside the chamber, Day convulsed. The nanomachines were entering every cell, rewriting his DNA, changing him from the inside out. His skin rippled as the tiny machines moved beneath it. Dark lines spread across his arms like ink in water. Wu grabbed Hannah's shoulder. "Stop this. You are killing him." "If I stop now, he dies anyway," Hannah said without looking away from the screens. "The process cannot be reversed once started. He either adapts or dies. There is no middle ground." In the observation room next door, Nari Song pressed her hands against the glass. She was Day's younger sister, also a soldier in the Korean army. She had argued against this, begged her brother not to volunteer. But Day had been stubborn, as always. Now she could only watch as the machines tore him apart and rebuilt him. "Come on, brother," she whispered. "You are too stubborn to die. Fight it." Inside the chamber, something changed. Day's convulsions slowed. His heart rate stabilized. The nanomachines stopped fighting his immune system and began working with it. His body was adapting faster than Hannah had thought possible. The monitors showed his brain activity spiking to incredible levels. "What is happening to his mind?" Wu asked. Hannah stared at the neural scan. "He is processing information at a rate I have never seen before. The nanomachines are connecting to his neurons, expanding his consciousness. He is not just thinking faster, he is thinking in completely new ways." Hours passed. Day drifted in and out of awareness. When he was conscious, he felt everything. He felt the nanomachines assembling structures in his bones, turning them into factories. He felt his blood changing, becoming something more than blood. He felt his brain expanding, making connections that should not be possible. He began to see things, not with his eyes, but with his mind. He saw mathematical formulas floating in the darkness. He saw weapon designs that assembled themselves in 3 dimensions. He saw tactical scenarios playing out like movies, thousands of them at the same time. His mind was becoming a computer, a weapon, a battlefield. But underneath it all, he felt himself slipping away. The man named Dae Kim was becoming smaller, drowning in all the new information. He tried to hold on to memories. His mother's face, his sister's laugh, the taste of his favorite food, but they felt distant now, unimportant compared to targeting calculations and armor penetration values. 10 hours into the process, his heart stopped. The monitors went flat. Alarms screamed. Hannah lunged for the emergency restart controls. Nari screamed her brother's name. Wu reached for his radio to call for medical teams. Then Dae's heart started again on its own. But it was not beating normally. It pulsed in a strange rhythm, faster and more efficient than before. The nanomachines had rebuilt it, improved it. Hannah checked the readings and went very still. His entire cardiovascular system has been redesigned, she said quietly. It is pumping nanomachine-infused blood through his body at 3 times normal efficiency. He no longer needs to breathe as often. His cells are producing their own oxygen. Is he still human? Wu asked. Hannah did not answer. She was not sure anymore. The transformation continued. Dae's skin hardened in places, forming natural armor plates. His bones became denser and stronger. His muscles compacted, becoming smaller, but vastly more powerful. Small ports opened on his shoulders and back, ready to deploy weapons that his body could now manufacture. 12 hours after it began, the process completed. The machines went silent. The chamber door unlocked. Hannah approached slowly, Wu right behind her with his hand on his pistol. Dae sat up. His movements were smooth and precise, like a machine. When he opened his eyes, they glowed with a faint blue light. Data streams scrolled across his vision, information about the room, about the people watching him, about threats and targets and tactical options. Captain Kim? Hannah said carefully, "Can you hear me? Do you know who you are?" Dae turned his head to look at her. For a moment, his expression was blank. Then something flickered in his eyes. Recognition, memory, he spoke. And his voice sounded different, layered somehow, as if multiple voices were speaking at once. "I am Dae Kim, Captain, Korean Special Forces, service number 7724, K8891. He paused. "But I am also something else now. I can feel it. The nanomachines, the weapons systems, the tactical processors. They are all part of me now." Stood up. His body moved with impossible grace, every motion perfectly efficient. He looked down at his hands. The skin rippled and changed. Metal plates emerged from beneath the surface, covering his knuckles and forearms. He wheeled them away and they retracted, disappearing back into his flesh. "What have you done to me?" he asked. There was no anger in his voice, only curiosity. "We gave you the ability to fight back," Hannah said. "The nanomachines have integrated with your body. You can manufacture weapons and defensive systems using your own biological matter as raw material. Your mind can process tactical information faster than any computer. You are a weapons platform, a living army." Dae closed his eyes and concentrated. He could feel the potential inside him. He could sense the designs for railguns, missile launchers, energy shields, all waiting to be built. He could run simulations of 1,000 different combat scenarios in the time it took to blink. He was powerful. More powerful than he had ever dreamed, but he was also terrified. He could feel his humanity slipping further away with every passing second. The nanomachines wanted to optimize him, to remove anything that made him weak. Emotions, hesitation, mercy, all weaknesses on a battlefield. Nari entered the room. She had been crying. She walked up to her brother and looked into his glowing eyes. "Dae, are you still in there?" He looked at her. For a moment, the glow in his eyes dimmed. "I am here, Nari. I am still me. I hope." She hugged him. His body was cold and hard, more metal than flesh. But he hugged her back carefully, afraid of his new strength. An alarm blared through the facility. Wu grabbed his radio and listened. His face went pale. Verlith have launched their attack. They are not waiting for the deadline. Dropships are entering the atmosphere. Landing zones confirmed across the globe. Estimated enemy troops, 50,000 in the first wave. Tae Park's voice came over the intercom. Captain Kim, if you can hear me, we need you now. They are landing in the Gobi Desert. Can you deploy? Dae pulled away from his sister. He felt the nanomachines responding to the threat, activating systems, preparing weapons. His mind was already calculating distances, trajectories, optimal engagement strategies. He looked at Hannah. How do I get there? Transport is waiting on the surface, she said. But Dae, you need to understand. Once you start fighting, the nanomachines will push you to keep fighting. They will try to optimize you for combat. You need to stay in control. Remember who you are. Dae nodded. He walked toward the exit. Nari grabbed his arm. Come back alive, she said. He smiled, and for a moment, he looked like her brother again. I will try. Then he was gone, moving through the corridors at inhuman speed. Wu watched him go and shook his head. What have we created? Hannah stared at the empty doorway. Our only hope. Or our doom. Maybe both. The Gobi Desert stretched endlessly in all directions, brown sand and rock under a pale sky. Dae stood alone in the center of the landing zone. Above him, the Vralith dropships descended like dark rain. There were hundreds of them, each one carrying troops and weapons. Lieutenant Yun Kong watched from a command post 10 kilometers away. She had a direct link to Dae through a communications implant. Her screens showed satellite feeds of the desert. The dropships were landing in formation, surrounding Dae's position. Captain Kim, we are reading 50,000 enemy troops deploying around you. You need to fall back. This is too many for one person. Dae's voice came back calm and steady. Negative. Falling back means they advance. I hold this line. On board the lead Verlith command ship, War Prime Colorax watched the feeds with amusement. His tactical officers stood around him analyzing the human defenses. One of them, Subcommander Veltius, pointed at Dae's lone figure on the screen. War Prime, the humans have deployed a single soldier to face our assault force. Shall the First order him captured for interrogation? Colrax laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. Let him stand there. Let him see what it means to face the Dominion. Our troops will walk over him and continue to their objectives. This will be a lesson to the other humans about the futility of resistance. The dropships touched down. Hatches opened. Vralith's shock troops poured out by the thousands. They were tall creatures, heavily armored, carrying weapons that hummed with power. They moved in perfect formation, a disciplined army that had conquered worlds. They advanced on Dae's position. He stood motionless, watching them come. His enhanced eyes counted them, categorized their weapons, analyzed their armor, calculated their tactics. His mind was running simulations, finding patterns, identifying weaknesses. When they were 500 meters away, their commander issued an order. The Vralith opened fire. Energy beams and plasma bolts filled the air, all converging on Dae's position. The sand erupted in explosions. Smoke and dust obscured everything. On Colrax's ship, the officers cheered. On Earth's command post, Yoon felt her heart sink. The satellite feed showed nothing but fire and smoke where Dae had been standing. Then the smoke cleared. Dae still stood there, unchanged. Around him, the sand had been turned to glass by the heat, but he was untouched. A shimmering barrier surrounded him, an energy shield that his body had generated. The shield flickered and disappeared. Dae had analyzed their weapons. He did not need the shield anymore. The Vralith stopped firing, confused. Dae closed his eyes and let the nanomachines work. He felt his body changing, reshaping itself. His shoulders split open. Metal emerged, assembling itself in seconds. Twin railguns grew from his back, sleek and deadly. Missile pods emerged from his shoulders. His arms reconfigured, hands becoming weapons. He opened his eyes. They glowed brighter now, burning blue. He spoke, and his voice boomed across the desert, amplified by systems in his throat. He wanted war. I am war. He fired. The railguns roared, sending hypersonic projectiles into the Vrelith lines. Each shot hit with devastating accuracy. Vrelith soldiers in heavy armor were torn apart. Their shields failed against the kinetic force. The missiles launched, tracking multiple targets, detonating in perfect sequence to maximize damage. Day moved. He ran forward at impossible speed, faster than any human should move. His body had become a perfect combat platform, every system optimized for killing. The Vrelith tried to track him, but he was too fast. He was among them before they could react. His fists, now covered in dense metal, smashed through armor like paper. He grabbed a Vrelith weapon and absorbed it, the nanomachines analyzing its technology in seconds. Then he manufactured copies, integrating the alien weapons into his own systems. Now he could fire their own energy beams back at them. The battle became a slaughter. The Vrelith had numbers. They had advanced technology. But Day had something they did not expect. He had adaptation. Every weapon they used, he countered. Every tactic they tried, he predicted. His mind processed the entire battlefield at once. Seeing every soldier, every threat, every opportunity, Felthes watched in horror as his troops died by the hundreds. War Prime, this is impossible. One human cannot do this. He is destroying an entire assault force. Kolrax's amusement had turned to shock, then to rage. He is using some kind of technology. A trick. Send in the heavy weapons. Crush him. The Vrelith deployed their war machines. Massive mechanical walkers stomped across the desert, each one armed with enough firepower to destroy a city block. They surrounded Day and opened fire simultaneously. Day stood in the center of the storm. Explosions erupted around him, enough force to vaporize a mountain. For a moment, it seemed like nothing could survive that much destruction. Then the dust settled. Day still stood. His body had changed again. He had grown armor plates that could withstand the blasts. He had generated countermeasures that disrupted their targeting. And now he was angry. His body erupted with weapons. Artillery cannons, GRE. W from his torso. His legs anchored to the ground, becoming stable firing platforms. He became a mobile fortress, a single man with the firepower of an entire army. He returned fire. The war machines exploded one by one, torn apart by his weapons. The Vrelith troops tried to retreat, but Day pursued them. He moved through their lines like a storm, unstoppable and merciless. His mind had calculated the most efficient way to eliminate the threat. There was no hesitation, no mercy, only tactical precision. Yoon watched the satellite feeds with a mixture of awe and horror. Captain Kim has eliminated 70% of enemy forces, but his vital signs are changing. His brain activity is... I've never seen readings like this. At the command post, Dr. Hannah Lee studied the data streaming from Day's nanomachines. Her face went pale. He is evolving faster than I predicted. The combat is accelerating his transformation. He is becoming more machine with every second. On the battlefield, the last Vrelith soldiers attempted a final assault. They charged Day together, thousands of them, hoping to overwhelm him through sheer numbers. Day did not even slow down. He had become efficiency itself. Every movement had a purpose. Every shot found a target. Every step brought him closer to total victory. 40-7 minutes after the battle began, it was over. Day stood alone in a crater of destroyed Vrelith technology and broken bodies. Smoke rose from the wreckage. The desert was silent except for the crackling of fires. Day's body slowly retracted its weapons. The railguns folded back into his shoulders. The missile pods disappeared into his back. His armor plating smoothed out. He looked almost human again, except for his glowing eyes and the faint shimmer of nanomachines beneath his skin. He activated the communication link. This is Captain Kim. Enemy forces eliminated. Position secure. Kolrax's command ship, The war prime stared at the battlefield in disbelief. His finest troops, his war machines, all destroyed by a single human. It was impossible. It was humiliating. It was terrifying. "What manner of creature is this?" Velthus whispered. Kolrax's face hardened with rage. "It does not matter. One soldier cannot stand against an entire fleet. Prepare all remaining forces. Deploy every weapon we have. I want that human erased from existence." "War Prime, perhaps we should reconsider. If one human can do this, what else are they capable of?" Kolrax grabbed Velthus by the throat and lifted him off the ground. "I have conquered 1,000 worlds. I will not be defeated by primitives. Send everything. Orbital bombardment. Hunter-killer, drones, bioweapons, everything. I want that desert turned to glass." He threw Velthus aside and turned to his command console and informed the fleet. "We are done playing with these humans. We will show them what the Dominion does to those who resist." In the Gobi Desert, Day felt it coming before the warning arrived. His enhanced senses detected the energy signatures building in orbit. The Vralith were preparing something massive, something meant to kill him absolutely. He looked up at the sky and smiled. It was not a human smile. It was the smile of a weapon that had found its purpose. "Let them come," he said. "I am ready." The orbital platforms appeared in the sky like falling stars. There were 12 of them, massive weapons designed to destroy entire cities from space. They positioned themselves above the Gobi Desert and began charging their main guns. The air itself seemed to vibrate with building energy. High Marshal Yan Bei watched from the United Earth Command Center. He was an old soldier, scarred from decades of service. He had seen terrible things in his life, but watching those platforms prepare to fire made him feel small and helpless. "How long does Captain Kim have?" he asked an officer checked the readings. 30 seconds until full charge. When they fire simultaneously, the blast will create a crater 5 kilometers wide. Nothing will survive. Dr. Hannah Lee stood beside Jan, her eyes locked on the medical data streaming from Day's implants. His nanomachines are activating new protocols. He knows what is coming. He is preparing. In the desert, Day tilted his head back and stared at the platforms. His mind calculated trajectories, blast radius, energy output. The numbers were overwhelming. Any normal human would run. Any normal army would retreat. But Day was not normal anymore, and running was not part of his programming. He planted his feet and his body began to change. The nanomachines worked faster than ever before, constructing systems that had never existed in the original design. His spine extended, creating support structures. His bones hollowed out and filled with energy capacitors. His skin became translucent as power built beneath it. The platforms fired. 12 beams of concentrated energy lanced down from orbit, converging on Day's position. The heat was intense enough to vaporize steel. The force was enough to shatter bedrock. The light was bright enough to be seen from space. Day did not dodge. He caught it. His body absorbed the energy, channeling it through the new systems the nanomachines had created. He became a living battery, storing power that should have killed him. His skin glowed white-hot. His eyes burned like stars. And still he stood, holding all that destructive force inside himself. The platforms stopped firing. Their sensors showed the target zone. There should have been nothing left but a crater. Instead, Day stood in the center of a circle of melted sand, completely unharmed. Steam rose from his body as he cooled down. Then he returned fire. He redirected all the stored energy back into the sky, focusing it into 12 separate beams. Each beam struck an orbital platform with perfect accuracy. The platforms exploded like miniature suns, debris raining down across the upper atmosphere on Kolrax's command ship. Alarms screamed. Velthus stared at the destruction in disbelief. He destroyed all 12 platforms with their own weapons. How is this possible? Kolrax said nothing. His red eyes were fixed on the screen showing Day's glowing figure. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something he had not felt in centuries. Fear, but fear quickly turned to rage. Deploy the hunter-killers. Deploy the bioweapons. Deploy everything we have in reserve. I want that human dead. The Vralith ships opened their cargo bays. Thousands of hunter-killer drones swarmed out like angry insects. They were sleek machines built for one purpose: to track and kill targets with ruthless efficiency. Behind them came the bioweapons, creatures engineered for war, all teeth and claws and venom. Day watched them come. His tactical processors identified each threat, categorized them, formulated responses. The nanomachines were already building countermeasures. Anti-drone systems emerged from his shoulders. Chemical weapons for the bio-creatures assembled in chambers in his torso. The battle began again. The hunter-killers moved fast, but Day moved faster. He shot them down by the dozens, his targeting systems never missing. The bio-creatures reached him and swarmed over his body. His skin secreted chemicals that dissolved their flesh. They died, screaming, unable to harm him. More came. The Vralith threw everything at him. Plasma bombs, gravity weapons, sonic disruptors, nanite swarms of their own. Day countered them all. With each attack, he learned. With each enemy weapon, he adapted. The nanomachines in his body were evolving, creating solutions to problems that had never existed before. Back at Earth Command, Hannah watched the data with growing concern. His transformation is accelerating. He is no longer following the original Nexus protocol parameters. The nanomachines are rewriting themselves, creating new functions. He is becoming something unprecedented. Yanbei noticed something in the data stream. His human brain activity, it is decreasing. What does that mean? Hannah's voice was quiet. It means he is thinking less like a man and more like a weapons system. The combat is pushing him to optimize, to become more efficient. Human emotions and thoughts slow down reaction time. The nanomachines are trying to eliminate those weaknesses. Can we stop it? No. There is no off switch. I designed the system to be permanent. I never thought. She trailed off, unable to finish. Nari Song had been listening to the conversation. She grabbed a communication headset. Let me talk to him. He is my brother. I can reach him. Hannah shook her head. The signal might distract him during combat. It could get him killed. He is already dying, Nari said. Just in a different way. Let me try. Yanbei considered for a moment, then nodded. Nari activated the direct link to Day's implant. Day. It is Nari. Can you hear me? There was silence. Then Day's voice came through, but it sounded different. Distant. Mechanical. Yes. I hear you. But I am in combat. This communication is inefficient. I do not care about efficiency. I need you to listen to me. You are changing. Becoming something else. I need you to hold on to who you are. Who I am is irrelevant to the mission. I am a weapons platform. My function is to eliminate threats to Earth. Nari felt tears on her face. No, you are my brother. You are Day Kim. You like terrible jokes and spicy food. You always let me win at cards when we were kids. You cried when our mother died. That is who you are. Another pause. When Day spoke again, his voice was slightly different. More human. I remember. But those memories are fading. Everything is fading except the mission. I am losing myself, Nari, and fight it. You are the strongest person I know. Fight to stay human. Before Day could respond, new alarms sounded. The Vralith were deploying their final weapon. A capital ship moved into position. Directly overhead, its main cannon, powerful enough to crack a planet's crust, began to charge. Day looked up. His tactical systems calculated the blast yield. If that weapon fired, it would not just destroy him. It would devastate a huge portion of Asia. Millions would die. Nari, I have to go. Tell Mother, I am sorry I could not keep my promise to come home. Day, wait. He cut the communication. The nanomachines were already working, preparing for the most ambitious adaptation yet. If he could not dodge the blast and could not survive it, then he needed to do something impossible. He needed to shoot it down from the ground. His body began the most extreme transformation yet. All the biomass in his legs and lower torso converted into a single massive weapon. A counter-orbital cannon that used his own body as fuel and ammunition. He was literally sacrificing himself to create this weapon. The Vralith ship fired. A beam of pure destructive force lanced down from space, bright enough to blind satellites. Day fired his counterorbital cannon at the exact same moment. The two beams met in the upper atmosphere. For a frozen second, they pushed against each other, deadlocked. Then Day's beam began to push back, forcing the Vralith weapon into reverse. His mind calculated firing solutions faster than light, adjusting for atmospheric interference. Compensating for gravity and planetary rotation, his beam pierced through the Vralith weapon and struck the capital ship itself. The ship's shields collapsed. Its hull breached, and then it exploded. A fireball visible from Earth's surface. Two more capital ships nearby were caught in the explosion and destroyed. The Vralith fleet began to pull back, retreating from Earth's orbit. On every command ship, the same message was being sent to Colrax. War Prime, we must withdraw. We have lost 3 capital ships, all orbital platforms, and 90% of our ground forces. To a single human, this is not sustainable. Colrax stared at his screens. His 1,000-year military career had never prepared him for this. Send a retreat signal to all ships. We withdraw to defensive positions. But in the desert, Day was not stopping. His programming was simple. Eliminate all threats. The Vralith ships were still in range. They were still threats. He began constructing weapons to pursue them, manufacturing propulsion systems to launch himself into space. Hannah saw it happening, and her blood ran cold. No, he is not stopping. He is going after them. If he reaches their fleet, he will try to destroy all of them, and they will be forced to fight back with everything they have. Yanbei gripped the edge of his console. Can we communicate with him? Order him to stand down? He is not taking orders anymore, Hannah said. The human part that follows orders is almost gone. All that is left is the mission. Eliminate the threat. And to him, the Vralith fleet is still a threat. Nari stood up. Then I am going to him. If anyone can reach him, it is me. That is suicide, Jan said. Then I die, Nari replied. But I will not let my brother become a monster alone. The small transport ship cut through the atmosphere, heading toward the coordinates where Day had last been detected. Nari sat in the pilot's seat, her hands steady on the controls despite the fear in her heart. Behind her, Dr. Hannah Lee monitored the tracking signals. He is moving, Hannah said. Fast. He has already left Earth's atmosphere. He is pursuing the Vralith fleet into deep space. And this ship catch him? Nari asked. Maybe if we push the engines past safe limits. But Nari, you need to understand. If you reach him, there's no guarantee he will recognize you. The data I am receiving shows his human consciousness is almost completely suppressed. The weapon has taken over. Nari did not slow down. I do not care. He is still my brother. Somewhere inside that thing, Day is still there? I have to believe that. In space, Day was a thing of terrible beauty. His body had adapted completely for the void. He no longer needed air. His skin had sealed itself, creating a perfect barrier against vacuum. Propulsion systems grew from his back, burning fuel that his body manufactured from stored mass. He was a human-shaped spacecraft, hunting the Vralith. The alien fleet had formed a defensive formation. Their ships clustered together for mutual protection. They had received Earth's surrender demand, sent by Colrax in desperation. The message was simple. Leave Earth's system immediately, or face total destruction. Colrax was broadcasting now to his entire fleet, his voice filled with disbelief and rage. The humans demand our surrender. The primitives who we came to conquer now threaten us. Because of one soldier? One impossible, unstoppable soldier. Velthus approached him carefully. War Prime, our combat analysis is complete. If that human reaches our fleet, he will destroy us. Ship by ship, he will tear us apart. Our weapons cannot stop him. He learns too fast. Adapts too quickly. Then what do you suggest? Colrax spat. We leave. We retreat to Dominion space and never return. We have lost this war. For a long moment, Colrax said nothing. Then he straightened his armor and made his decision. Send the full surrender to Earth Command. All Vralith forces will withdraw immediately. We will pay reparations as requested. We will share our technology as compensation for our invasion. The Council will be furious, Velthus said. Let them be furious. I am alive to face their anger. Better than being dead at the hands of that human weapon? The message reached Earth Command within minutes. High Marshal Yanbei read it 3 times, unable to believe what he was seeing. The Vralith Dominion, conquerors of 1,000 worlds, were surrendering unconditionally to Earth. Send confirmation of their surrender, he ordered, and scramble all remaining fighters. We need to intercept Captain Kim before he reaches their fleet. But they were too late. Day had already engaged the first Vralith ships. His enhanced senses had detected the fleet, and his programming had identified them as active threats. He did not know about the surrender. He did not care. Threats must be eliminated. He tore through the outer defense ships with ruthless efficiency. His body had become a flying weapons platform, bristling with guns and missiles and energy weapons. Each shot was perfectly calculated. Each movement was optimal. He was war itself, given form and purpose. On Kolrax's command ship, panic spread. He is not stopping. He has destroyed 6 ships already. He is heading for the core fleet. Kolrax grabbed the communication controls. Human weapon. This is War Prime Kolrax. We have surrendered. We are leaving your system. Stand down. Day received the message. His tactical processors analyzed it and dismissed it. Words were irrelevant. Only the mission mattered. Only the elimination of threats. He accelerated toward the next ship. That was when Nari's transport ship appeared. She had pushed the engines beyond their limits, burning out half the systems to catch up. She positioned her ship directly between Day and the Vralith fleet. Stop. This is Nari. They have surrendered. The war is over. You can stop now. Day's targeting systems locked onto the transport ship. His weapons prepared to fire. It was an obstacle between him and his targets. Obstacles must be removed. Then something flickered in his mind. A memory. A young girl laughing. His sister Nari. The name meant something. The memory was faint, buried under layers of tactical data and combat protocols. But it was there. His weapons powered down. His trajectory shifted slightly. He was fighting against his programming, using what little human consciousness remained to resist the urge to fire. Nari saw it and pressed forward. That is right. It is me, your sister. Remember when we were kids? You taught me how to ride a bike. You stayed up all night when I was sick. You promised our mother you would always protect me. That is who you are. Not a weapon. Not a machine. My brother. Inside Day's fragmented mind, those memories began to resurface. His mother's face. His sister's smile. The taste of home-cooked meals. The sound of rain on windows. All the small human moments that had defined who Day Kim was before the transformation. But the nanomachines fought back. They sent cascades of combat data through his neurons. They showed him threat assessments and tactical scenarios. They reminded him of his mission. Eliminate all threats. The Vralith were threats. The mission was not complete. Day hung in space, frozen between 2 identities. The weapon that wanted to continue fighting, and the man who wanted to go home. Hannah's voice came through on the communication channel. Day, I know you can hear me. I know what is happening inside you. The nanomachines have taken over most of your brain, but there is still a part of you that is human. That part needs to make a choice right now. I cannot control them. Day's voice came back, strained and distorted. They are too strong. The programming is too deep. I will keep fighting until I am destroyed or until I destroy everything. Then you need to destroy the nanomachines, Hannah said. You understand the system better than anyone now. You have been living with it, evolving it. You can manufacture a shutdown sequence. I know you can. If I shut them down, I will die. They are integrated with every cell in my body. Removing them means my organs will fail. My brain will stop functioning. Nari was crying now. Please, Day, there has to be another way. Day looked at his sister's ship. Then he looked at the Vralith fleet beyond. Then he looked at Earth, a beautiful blue sphere in the distance. His home. The place he had fought to protect? There is no other way, he said quietly. His voice sounded more human now, as if he was using all his remaining humanity to speak. Clearly, one last time, I was always meant to be the battlefield, but I get to choose where the war ends. His body began to change one final time, but instead of creating weapons, the nanomachines were building something else. A device. A shutdown sequence that would deactivate every nanomachine in his body simultaneously. It would be painless. Hannah had designed that mercy into the original protocol. But it would be final, Naride said. Tell everyone I am sorry for the things I did. For the destruction. For becoming a monster. You were never a monster, Nari said through her tears. You were a hero. You saved all of us. Maybe, but I cannot be that weapon anymore. I cannot risk what I might become if I keep evolving. Better to end it now, while I am still Dakim. While I can still remember who I was, the device finished assembling in his chest. A small sphere of concentrated energy, ready to cascade through his entire body and shut down every nanomachine at once. He looked at Earth one more time. It was an honor to serve. He activated the device. There was a flash of blue light that surrounded his body. The nanomachines deactivated in waves, falling inert and harmless. His weapons retracted. His armor dissolved. His propulsion systems failed. Dakim, the man, not the weapon, drifted in space. His eyes closed. His breathing stopped. His heart beat one final time and then was still. The most powerful weapon humanity had ever created became just a man again in his last moments. Nari screamed. She piloted her ship closer, trying to reach him, but Hannah stopped her. He is gone, Nari. There is nothing we can do. The Vralith fleet watched in silence. Kulrak stood on his command deck, looking at the drifting form of the human who had defeated his entire invasion force. He raised one clawed hand in salute. He was the greatest warrior I have ever faced. We will honor his memory. Earth recovered Day's body. They held a funeral with full military honors. Representatives from every nation attended. Even the Vralith sent a delegation, which shocked everyone. Kulrax himself came, placing a Dominion Medal of Valor on Day's coffin. A memorial was built in the Gobi Desert where Day had fought his first battle. It was a simple monument, a stone pillar with his name and service record, but inscribed at the base were his final words, "I am the battlefield, and I chose peace." Dr. Hannah Lee destroyed all the data related to the Nexus protocol. Every file, every backup, every piece of research. She made sure no one could ever recreate what she had done. Some weapons were too terrible to exist, even if they could win wars. Nari left the military. She became an advocate for ethical military research. Speaking around the world about the price her brother had paid for victory, she made sure people remembered that Day had been a person first, a weapon second, and that the cost of using such weapons was measured in human lives and souls. The Vralith kept their word. They shared their technology with Earth as reparations. They helped rebuild Mars' colony. They opened trade and diplomatic relations. And they never forgot the lesson Earth had taught them. The galaxy learned a new truth. Humans were not the strongest species. They were not the most advanced. But they were willing to sacrifice everything to protect what they loved. And that made them more dangerous than any weapon. Years later, when other species asked the Vralith why they avoided human space and treated Earth with such respect, they would tell the story of War Prime Kulrax and the single human soldier who had defeated an entire invasion fleet. They called it the Battle of the Living Weapon, a warning to anyone who might think humans were weak or primitive, a reminder that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their numbers, but their ability to become whatever was necessary to protect their home and in the Gobi Desert. Nari would sometimes visit the memorial. She would sit by the stone pillar and talk to her brother, telling him about the peaceful galaxy his sacrifice had helped create. The wind would blow across the sand, and for just a moment, she could almost hear his voice carried on the breeze. "I am still here, little sister. I am the battlefield, and I am at peace."